So Destiny 2 just had a content drop through the not the Edge of Fate, sorry, the Rite of the Nine, which is pretty cool. With it came a lot of new dungeon weapons, or I should say refreshed dungeon weapons, maybe. But yeah, with that being said, let's talk about them today. Before we do that, I want to just address why I have not been on the channel for a hot minute. Nothing too crazy. Basically, my wife and I just got sick, and my baby got sick. He was sick the first week, then my wife caught it, then I caught it. So that just knocked us out for 3 weeks. But we are back here, hopefully on a more regular schedule. That being said, though, let's talk about these weapons. Starting off with Longarm here, I'm going to start with the Spire of the Watcher dungeon, because Spire of the Watcher is the one that we have available to us this week. Then we'll go into Ghosts of the Deep, and then finally we'll go into Prophecy. But starting off with Longarm here, this is a 120 arc scout rifle, so it's an aggressive frame. It's Tex Mechanica, and looking at the rolls here, first of all, one thing I want to point out, there are a lot of similar rolls. Like we have Rapid Hit, Dragonfly, we have Rapid Hit, Explosive Payload. These were on the original Longarm, right? So they're tried and true rolls. I mean, I wouldn't sit here and say they're the greatest rolls, but Rapid Hit and Explosive Payload, for example, is going to serve you well. It's going to be a solid like B+ tier in most levels of contents. Not too bad. When I look at this weapon, though, I'm 100% seeing PvP rolls. Okay, I'm seeing Lone Wolf plus Keep Away. I'm also seeing a Precision Instrument and Lone Wolf. I'm seeing Explosive Payload and Lone Wolf. Sorry if I get that out. So like I'm seeing a lot of PvP potential in here, which is pretty cool. One of the things that I am not seeing is a whole lot of arc synergy. And this is one of the things that I felt Longarm was historically missing. It didn't have volt shots, which at the time it launched, volt shot was a thing. Don't know why they didn't put it on it, but now all we have is Rolling Storm. And so like in terms of like the best perks I could see on Longarm right now for PvE, obviously Rolling Storm is a good option. You could pair Rolling Storm with Subsistence maybe. You could also pair it with Rapid Hit or Dual Loader. I think either of those are pretty decent. A perk that I know a lot of people are not talking about, but a perk that I want to point out as being something you should maybe look out for is Recycled Energy. Recycled Energy, I know currently it's not that good. Currently it's pretty bad. You get a kill, then you reload after the kill to give your lowest charge ability some energy, and it's only like 5%. I think this is going to get a buff in the future. And with the way that Longarm reloads, how it reloads after, you can reload just 2 shells at a time, you can actually keep this going fairly consistently. And that's why I would almost recommend that right now, like just do Rolling Storm plus Recycled Energy, especially if maybe you're a Titan. If you're a Titan and you are playing with Storm's Keep, that's a pretty decent combo. Like I got one yesterday. I've been using it. I've been liking it a lot. And I do think that Recycled Energy is going to get a buff in the future. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. Outside of that, though, I mean, you could make an argument for Dragonfly. This is not the worst perk, not the best, not the worst. Redirection got a pretty major buff, which I think is pretty awesome. So Redirection is also an option. You could do like Rapid Hit Redirection or Subsistence and Redirection. I think either of those would be really good, but really where I think this weapon is going to shine is in PvP. Lone Wolf, Keep Away, 100%. Like that sounds like just a dream combo for PvP activities. You could also do Lone Wolf and Precision Instrument, which I think is also pretty decent. And of course you can do Lone Wolf and Explosive Payload. Explosive Payload in PvP is just nice for flinch, especially because this is a 120 scout. You're going to be competing with 120 hand cannons. So getting them to flinch off target, probably a pretty big deal. But yeah, that is it for Longarm. Let's go ahead and talk about Liminal Vigil. So Liminal Vigil here. Again, a lot of the perks here I'm seeing not really standing out. Okay, in terms of PvE activities, I think obviously Headstone and Rhyme Stealers is the #1 thing people are going to look for. I think previously the best role you could get on Liminal Vigil was like Headstone and maybe Desperado, which is unique, but not really. It's not really something I'm seeing a lot of people want to go for. So at least they gave it Rhyme Stealer, so you have that synergy. I got a Rhyme Stealer Headstone roll. I've used it a little bit. It doesn't seem to be all that bad, but at the same time, I don't know. This weapon, it feels really lackluster in both PvE and PvP. Like obviously, we do have Lone Wolf as an option. You could do Lone Wolf and To the Pain. You could do Lone Wolf and Rangefinder if you wanted to. Although since Rangefinder got nerfed several seasons ago or several years ago, whatever it was, I don't think it's that great of an option anymore. Really, in my opinion, Liminal Vigil got a downgrade because one of the things that made the original Liminal Vigil so nice is the fact that you could get it with quick draw. And Liminal Vigil is one of the very few sidearms that you can currently obtain or could currently obtain in Destiny 2 that could actually roll with Quick Draw, and Quick Draw on Sidearms is an absolutely amazing perk. But yeah, I'm just not seeing a whole lot here. I do see Tap the Trigger. I know Tap the Trigger is a decent perk on this archetype of Sidearm. Of course, we see what is it, Division, really popular right now. This is in the same archetype as Division. It's that 2-round burst, heavy hitting pulse, sorry, not pulse rifle, archetype of Sidearm. Goodness, I'm thinking of pulse rifles today. But really, I'm not seeing anything too special in here. You could do like Headstone and Desperate Measures. That could be cool for a stasis build. Of course, Headstone, Rhyme Stealer. And of course, if you wanted the classic roll, you could do Headstone plus Desperado. I think that's not a bad roll by any means, but not the best. Outside of that, I'm just not seeing anything else. Maybe Lone Wolf and Kill Clip, or Tap the Trigger and Kill Clip could be good in PvP. But this is one that I don't know. This is another, like, it's a really mid-tier weapon. But let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Wilderflight. Wilderflight is it's a double fire grenade launcher. So it's the grenade launcher that shoots 2 grenades at the same time. Pretty unique weapon archetype. We don't have a whole lot of these. I think the last one we got was Liturgy from the previous episode, episode Revenant. And that didn't make a lot of waves in the community. I think this one, kind of the same way, but looking at the rolls here, obviously I think a lot of people are going to see Repulsor Brace into Stabilizing Rounds. It's a good combo. I mean, what else could you ask for? It's got Void Synergy. That's pretty good. Another combo that I could actually see being useful in some way as more of a utility weapon, it would be like Auto-Loading Holster plus Withering Gaze plus Disorienting Grenades. This would basically make it so that your grenades can weaken and they can disorient on hit, which I think would be pretty cool. So you just have Auto-Loading Holster on it so you can put it away until you need it. You whip it out, you weaken an enemy, you blind other enemies. I think it has some playmaking potential there. You could also do Slide Shot as well. I like Slide Shot on grenade launchers. It gets that, reload going immediately, which could be really good. Or especially this archetype. This archetype to me is more of like a damage, like a DPS option as opposed to an ad clear option. So you do have something like Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, which could be, another good option for you to use if you wanted to. Although again, I don't see a lot of people utilizing grenade launchers during damage phases. Like, I think there are some very specific situations where you could use, this combo, but I don't think that this is like an S tier combo by any means on this particular weapon. Again, if this is a heavy weapon, yeah, that'd be a really, really strong combo. But on a special weapon, on a special grenade launcher, don't think it's all that great. And I mean, the last thing I could see here is maybe Demolitionist and Destabilizing Rounds. I mean, Destabilizing Rounds is great, don't get me wrong. But I'm just, again, it's something that I'm not super excited about. When I think of grenade launchers, I think of more their utility as opposed to like their just lethality. Like, if I'm going to use a weapon with Destabilizing Rounds, I would probably opt to use like a fusion rifle or a shotgun if I'm going to use a special weapon in the first place. I'd probably just use a primary ammo weapon. But again, this is an option. This is something that you could use maybe if you're not running a void synergizing build. You could just have this in your voids slot. But at the same time, I think that it would probably be better just to have disorienting grenades plus auto-loading plus Withering Gaze. That seems like a really interesting role that has that level of utility that you're not going to get from any other weapon in the game currently. The ability to blind, the ability to weaken, and the ability to have its, active kind of whenever you need it via auto-loading holster. So that's Wilderflight. Again, not anything crazy, but let's go ahead and talk about the next weapon. Terminator Horizon. This is a 360 round per minute machine gun, so high impact frame, very slow firing. And this, in my opinion, just looking at the perks here, might be one of the best weapons you can get from the Spire of the Watcher and the Rite of the Nine. This thing comes with some really good perks. Obviously, let's get the arc synergizing perks out of the way. We have Eddy Current plus Rolling Storm or Jolting Feedback. For me personally, I wouldn't go with Jolting Feedback. I would actually go with Rolling Storm plus Eddy Current. Like, if you're looking for that, Eddy Current obviously is going to just crack out your reload speed to the fastest it can possibly get. If you're also using Rolling Storm, I mean, machine guns, they're known for getting absolute tons of kills. Like, you can mow down layers of ads. So getting a lot of bolt charge stacks through Rolling Storm, having a really fast reload through Eddy Current. This right here is like the combo that I would probably be most looking forward to getting. is eddy current and rolling storm. But like I said, you could also do eddy current and jolting feedback. Again, if you're building into that arc idea, that arc synergy, it wouldn't be a bad option. In terms of other lethality, I see, like, you know, for DPS phases, you could use target lock and triple tap, or maybe you could use target lock and Envious Arsenal, maybe target lock and reconstruction. Although I think since reconstruction's nerf, so that it takes you know, a little bit longer to refill the magazine, I don't necessarily know if I would recommend reconstruction anymore. You could also, if you wanted to be crazy, you could do reconstruction killing tally. This combo right here would be fantastic because killing tally is going to increase your damage so long as you don't stow or reload the weapon. And of course, reconstruction will kind of give you that free reload. So you could use this in more of, you know, like a primary ammo, high damage capacity, which I think is a pretty good option that you could use. In terms of PvP, I'm not seeing anything for PvP. Maybe high impact reserves plus triple tap would be like your best PvP option, or triple tap and killing tally. You know, just something to extend that magazine a little bit longer in PvP, something to give you a damage boost. That would be good in PvP. But outside of that, I'm just not seeing a whole lot. You could do triple tap and precision instrument if you really wanted to, although I think that probably just doing target lock would be better than doing precision instrument, in my personal opinion. You could also, if you want to, you could do Dragonfly and Rolling Storm. Dragonfly and Rolling Storm, they do work together. So if you get a kill with Dragonfly and it kills 3 other enemies, it will give you 4 stacks of bolt charge. If you're amplified, it'll give you 8 stacks of bolt charge right off the bat, which is a really strong combination. And I think that, you know, that's an option you could definitely bring into the play for lethality or for ad clear. You could also do just something simple. Demolitionist, always a good option. Again, this is an ad clear weapon. So Demolitionist is going to be getting your grenade back faster. You can pair it with Rolling Storm. You can pair it with, you know, Killing Tally. Any of these will be an option to use. I think you could also do Killing Tally plus Demolitionist, because Demolitionist will reload the weapon when you throw your grenade. So if you did like extended mag to give you a nice chunky 59 round magazine here, plus Killing Tally and Demolitionist, you get some kills, get your grenade back, throw it. As long as you can keep the chain going and not manually reload, you'll keep Killing Tally up. You'll keep having grenades ready to go. It could be a pretty strong option as well. So yeah, that's it for the Spire the Watcher weapons. Man, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed in some of these rolls. Like I said, Terminator Horizon here might be the best option because it has some really strong perks, but the other ones I'm not super crazy about. But, you know, that's Spire the Watcher. Let's go ahead and talk about the Ghost of the Deep weapons next. Starting off here with New Pacific Epitap, not Tath. This is a stasis waveframe grenade launcher. And this thing, obviously, it's a waveframe grenade launcher. That's going to make motions in the community. Waveframe grenade launchers are really good weapons. This is no exception to that rule. This is a really strong weapon. And I'm looking here at the perks here. The perks look like they're going to be really decent on this weapon. Starting off in the third column, the things I'm noticing immediately: Demolitionist, Recycled Energy. Again, Recycled Energy, not right now, but I think it'll get a buff soon. And I think that once it gets a buff, it'll be a better option. And then, of course, in the fourth column over here, we have Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction is fantastic. You do have some other stuff here. You have like Redirection that you could use. You could do Kill Clip if you really wanted to. But I think where this weapon is really going to be best is with Chain Reaction. Even in its nerf state, like, it still is just adding to its lethality in terms of ad clear, which I think is pretty good. I mean, Forbearance is something that is still fantastic even after the nerf to Chain Reaction. Like I said, Demolitionist or Recycled Energy, I think in the current sandbox, Demolition is probably going to be the better option because it gives you, number one, more energy. Gives you 20% energy, right? 20%? I think it's 20% because this is a special weapon per kill. Getting multiple kills with this gun should not be difficult, so you can get your grenade back like every 1 to 2 shots, which is pretty cool. But Recycled Energy, I think, again, like, when this weapon gets a buff, you're going to have to be reloading after every shot anyways. So having Recycled Energy on here, you just reload, you get a kill, even in its current state, even in its current kind of weak state where it's only giving you like 5% energy after reloading. Like, you have to reload after every single shot anyways. You might as well just get some free ability energy from that. So I think that Recycled Energy actually would be a pretty decent perk on this weapon. And of course, like I said, in the last column here, the only thing that really sticks out is Chain Reaction, maybe Redirection. Sword Logic, I don't think Sword Logic has really caught on. You know, obviously you have Adrenaline Junkie, which could work. If you wanted to, you could do like Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie. I don't think that'd be a bad option. Elemental Honing, this is a newer perk which can get up to a 35% damage buff. But again, like that's if you're using Prismatic. And if you're using Prismatic with this weapon, by all means, get this perk. Like the damage boost is there. But I think if you just want the most lethality you can get, Chain Reaction is going to be the way you will want to go. But with that one out of the way, let's move on to the next weapon, which is No Survivors. And No Survivors is a 720 round from an aggressive frame submachine gun. And this one, I'm seeing some pretty great rolls right off the rip here. Obviously, we have Heal Clip Incandescent for PvE activities. Need I say more about this combo? It's kind of a dream combo. But at the same time, I feel like there's probably a lot of you who have this weapon roll on a dozen different weapons. Like I keep all of my Heal Clip Incandescent rolls. So if you want something maybe a little bit more unique, you could do Demolitionist and Incandescent. These will work together. If an enemy is burned out by Incandescent, it will give you grenade energy back through Demolitionist. So I think that's a pretty good option. Another thing that I'm seeing here, Target Lock and Rewind rounds. You know, maybe not like the best option, but maybe, you know, I could see it being useful, you know, in some sort of activity. I think that it's not something I would just skip over completely. We also have Master of Arms in here, and so you could do like Master of Arms plus Heal Clip, you know, get healing after every kill plus get a damage boost. I think that could be a pretty strong option. If you wanted to, you could use Attrition Orbs with Target Lock. You know, Target Lock obviously encourages you to stay on target, continuously damaging enemies. Attrition Orbs, as you continuously damage enemies, you'll create Orbs of Power. It's kind of, I think it's a little bit of a weird combo, but it is a combo that does have some synergy together. On the PvP fronts, the only thing I'm really seeing for PvP is maybe like Zen Moment plus Surplus or Rangefinder. Neither of which are great options. I would probably prefer Surplus and Zen Moment over Rangefinder and Zen Moment. But again, if you get a Rangefinder Zen Moment, just go test out in the Crucible. If you like it, great. If not, so be it. We also do have Sword Logic here. Again, I don't think Sword Logic has caught on quite as much as other perks, but Sword Logic is an option. I think in PvP, Sword Logic might decrease your time to kill. We can actually look right here. Hold on. Time to kill with Sword Logic active. Let's see here. What is it? It's times 2 stacks. Yeah, so it'd be times 2 stacks. Which would drop your TTK by what? Just a little tiny bit, I think. I mean, it's something that you could look into if you wanted to. But really, I think the main combo people are going to be looking for is Heal Clip Incandescent or Demolitionist and Incandescent. So, yeah, that's No Survivors. Let's talk about the next weapon. Greasy Luck. This is a solar glaive. It's a rapid fire glaive. And this also, I mean, it does have some perks you might want to be on the lookout for. Obviously, again, Heal Clip Incandescent, match made in heaven. Go for it. Like that sounds like it'd be, you know, that just makes sense as a strong option. But you also have some other, you know, more traditional like glaive perks here. You have melee momentum, which is a pretty decent perk. You also have Replenishing Aegis, which I really like Replenishing Aegis on glaives. I think it's a great perk. You do have Close to Melee, so that's a good option. You have Unstoppable Force, which is it's a decent perk, nothing crazy, but you know, it's an option you could potentially get. You have Redirection, you have Chain Reaction as well. So if you're getting those projectile kills, not the melee kills, but projectile kills will cause enemies to explode. I think that's pretty, you know, pretty self-explanatory. That is a decent perk. I think that for me personally, I would probably go with like Replenishing Aegis plus Close to Melee or Melee Momentum and Close to Melee just to build heavily into that melee option. In terms of like DPS, there's really not a whole lot in here. I mean, glaives aren't really meant for DPS anyways. I think they're meant more for ad clear. And of course, like we said, we have Chain Reaction or Incandescent as your ad clear options. Plus Heal Clip. Again, though, Heal Clip kind of a difficult one to recommend because it's a glaive. Like, you're not going to be reloading after every single kill, and it doesn't synergize with the glaive melee. So I would probably just recommend Replenishing Aegis to be a better option. You could do Replenishing Aegis plus Incandescent. You know, get a kill, you block some damage, it reloads it, you just continuously shoot some enemies. Because remember, rapid fires have a high ammo count. high reserve ammo count, which is pretty good. But again, not seeing too much in here that's like just absolutely crazy, cracked out of its mind. Melee momentum, close to melee. Pretty decent option. But yeah, that's Greasy Luck. I'm not seeing anything really for PvP. Like, I guess you could make an argument for melee momentum being a PvP perk. Plus, I don't even know. But yeah, that is Greasy Luck. Let's go ahead and talk about the next weapon, which is Cold Comfort. This is an aggressive frame rocket launcher, and this actually had some really strong rolls when it first came out, and I'm actually seeing, again, still some really strong rolls here. Right off the rip, we have Envious Arsenal, we have Bait and Switch. This is kind of just like the perfect combo. Like, if you're looking for a DPS weapon, this is absolutely going to be a monster for PvE activities. If you get this roll, you just throw an impact casing as well for some more damage. I think that's basically your PvP god roll. You could also get away with probably Reconstruction and Bait and Switch, even though I probably would say our Envious Arsenal is just better. But you can get away with that. There is, if you are a Stasis fan, there is Chill Clip, which should activate on basically every single rocket. Not, even if you have Reconstruction, even with 2 rockets in the mag, it should be every single rocket slows targets, which I think is pretty decent. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of synergy with Rhyme Stealer, because Rhyme Stealer requires you to have frozen enemies. You're not going to be freezing enemies with Chill Clip. You're only going to be slowing them unless you have Reconstruction on, but at that point, you can't have on Rhyme Stealer. So I don't think Rhyme Stealer and Chill Clip is really a great combo. I think really PvE, the best combo here is just Envious Arsenal, Bait and Switch. Enough said. You could also argue Envious Arsenal and Explosive Light is a good option too. If you wanted to have some fun, you could do Reconstruction Bipod. That'll give you 4 rockets in the magazine, like as it reloads over time, which is fun. Unfortunately, you are missing out on a lot of damage. I still think there's Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch probably the way to go for Cold Comfort. And in PvP, I guess Impulse Amplifier paired with whatever else you might want. You could do Sword Logic, I guess. Nope, Sword Logic wouldn't really do much. You could do Explosive Light, maybe. You could do Chill Clip, maybe, maybe a Chill Clip Impulse Amplifier. I wouldn't be on the lookout for this as a PvP weapon. So yeah, that is all of our Ghost of the Deep weapons. Now let's talk about the Prophecy weapons. Starting off here with Relentless. And Relentless is a 340 round per minute pulse rifle, so it's high impact frame. And again, we're seeing some new combos here that we have not seen historically on Relentless. Obviously, some of the stuff that's standing out to me right now, Tear and Hatchling. This is going to be a Strand, very Strand themed build. Like, you could build into Strand. You could also do Slice and Hatchling, which was a combo on this weapon beforehand, but I think Tear might be a more interesting option as opposed to Slice. But also, something really interesting, we have Firefly in this combo here. I'm sorry, in this column here, not this combo, in this column here. So Firefly plus Hatchling could be a pretty cool roll. You get a kill, it gives you faster reload, it gives a little explosion, and it spawns a Threadling. That sounds like a pretty awesome combo. I'm going to be on the lookout for that one for sure. But outside of that, in terms of PvE, I'm not seeing much else in PvE. You could make an argument for like Paracausal Affinity. You get a kill, again, it caused the explosion, then you have a little bit of a damage boost. Could be good. One thing I would like to see is if the damage from the Firefly explosion is buffed by this. I'm not sure how that would work, because technically the weapon, which would have Paracausal Affinity active because you just got the kill, I don't know. Will these two, like, will this increase the damage of Firefly? I don't know. It's something I would like to test, but I think that could be also a pretty decent option. I think in terms of PvP, there's really only one. Well, actually, there's a couple good options. First of all, Headseeker, always the way to go on pulse rifles. But you have 3 perks in the third column here. You can pair it with. You can do Keep Away, great perk. You can do Rapid Hit, which I like. I like Rapid Hit a lot on pulse rifles, especially if you're on controller. This is, this is a very beneficial perk to have. But you could also do Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf for that, additional aim assistance, plus that additional ADS modifier could be good, and you get some airborne effectiveness as well. I think that's probably like my god tier combo would be Keep Away plus Headseeker. Again, this is a 340 pulse rifle, so you want to keep your distance, but also Lone Wolf Headseeker would be a good option as well. And yeah, that's Relentless. Relentless looks like it has some pretty decent rolls. Like I said, like Firefly and Hatchling seems like it'd be a really fun roll, or Slice and Hatchling, really decent roll. But let's go ahead and talk about the next weapon from Prophecy. Prosecutor. Prosecutor is a 450 round per minute precision frame auto rifle. And again, I'm seeing some pretty decent perks on here. A lot of kind of the same stuff that we saw with the old, or not the old, but the older version of Prosecutor. Volt Shot, Dragonfly, that just seems like it would have pretty good synergy. You could also do Dragonfly and Rolling Storm. Again, kills that Dragonfly gets will grant you Rolling Storm stacks, so you could get a couple more stacks if you get some multi kills with Dragonfly, which I think is a pretty decent option. You have Eddy Current here as well. Eddy Current is a very good perk for arc builds, so you do Eddy Current, Volt Shot, you're gonna have a cracked out reload, just get a kill, start shotgun stuff, so on and so forth. If you're not rocking an arc build, Eddy Current is probably not the best option, or not an option I would really recommend. But if you are, Eddy Current is a good option. Like we said, we have Dragonfly. You also have Subsistence here. If you just don't like reloading, you can do Subsistence and Rolling Storm. Again, auto rifles are great at cutting through enemies and just having to reload less and being able to get those stacks of Bolt Charge. Pretty good. You can also do Onslaught and Subsistence. Onslaught and Subsistence, I think, is also a really strong combo. As you're getting kills, you're getting a faster fire rates. You're also getting a faster reload, but you will have Subsistence that is constantly giving you fuel back to your auto rifle, so that could be a good option. Another option you have here, Attrition Orbs plus Target Lock. Again, this is one we talked about with, what was it, No Survivors, I think, just a little bit earlier. You have the synergy there from just dealing constant damage, which could be pretty good. Now, on the PvP front, oh, actually, one more perk I forgot to mention, Paracausal Affinity. I like Paracausal Affinity. This is a perk that if you like it, great. If not, don't use it. You can do Dragonfly and Paracausal Affinity. I believe that Dragonfly would be buffed by Paracausal Affinity's damage boost, so that could be pretty good. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's talk about PvP roles. I'm seeing only a couple of PvP roles, but the PvP roles I see are very, very good. First of all, we have Keep Away here. Keep Away, obviously, great option if you're going to be keeping your range. I think Prosecutor is one of the better auto rifles, one of the better precision auto rifles. And remember, precision auto rifles just got a buff too, so they're performing a lot better than they were historically. In fact, I was playing around in the Crucible testing out Radiant Dance machines, and I was seeing a ton of Prosecutors. And so Keep Away, I think, could be a good option there. It's giving you just a lot more range, plus 10 to your range, as long as you are within, or more than 15 meters away from enemies, which I think with this weapon you probably is going to be a decent amount of the time. So it's giving you more range. You could pair that with, of course, Target Lock. I think Target Lock is probably the primary thing that people want to get on Prosecutor, just giving you some additional forgiveness. But you could also do Tap the Trigger, just to help you land those first couple shots. Landing those first couple shots will give you more of an ability to hit the subsequent shot, so that could be a pretty good option. We also have Zen Moment here for my controller users like myself. Zen Moment is a great perk. I would probably go with like Zen Moments and Target Lock, or Zen Moment and Tap the Trigger. Again, Tap the Trigger, giving you that better accuracy on that initial trigger pull, will help you clean up the gunfight. And so yeah, Zen Moment is a great perk to pair with that. You could also, in terms of lethality, besides Target Lock, you do have Paracausal Affinity. Paracausal Affinity lasts for, 6 seconds, which is longer than Kill Clip and some other perks like that. So you could get a kill and then start chaining more kills. 20% more damage is going to definitely cut down your time to kill inside PvP. So I think that could be an option you could use. You do Keep Away and Paracausal Affinity. I think that'd be a pretty good option, but Prosecutor's looking to be like a pretty good option once it rolls around. There's a lot of roles that I'm going to be looking for on Prosecutor, but with that out of the way, let's move on to the next weapon from this from Prophecy Dungeon. A Sudden Death. This is an aggressive frame shotgun, and it's void. So obviously, with it being void, we're looking at some basic combos: Repulsor Brace, Destabilizing Round. Again, self-explanatory combo. Okay, it's a good option, but really, I don't think it's the best option here. I think that, Repulsor Brace, Destabilizing Round, it gets a lot of love because it synergizes very well together. But on this particular shotgun, I think there are much better options. Number one, I'm looking at right here, is Discord and Redirection. Discord is going to allow you to give yourself free ammo. Redirection is going to allow you to get damage bonuses. So I think that you could really, get a kill with your hand cannon or whatever you have, get Discord going, kill 4 or 5 enemies, little red bar enemies, get some stacks here. Then when you get up against a target that needs to, have a bunch of damage dealt to it, there you go. There's your dream combo right there. That sounds like it'd be a really interesting combo. Outside of that, obviously we have 1-2 punch and trench barrel. This is great combo. 1-2 punch is going to buff your shotgun damage. Then trench barrel is going to buff your melee damage. Sorry, this is going to buff your melee damage. And then this is going to buff your shotgun damage. So there's some synergy there. Maybe not the best synergy because one's kills, one's on damage, but there's synergy there that you could have. Outside of that, I know Envious Assassin is here. I don't think Envious Assassin is a super great perk on shotgun. So just going to kind of throw that out there, though. It exists. In PvP, though, this is where I think this weapon's going to shine. Obviously, we have Slide Shot Opening Shot or Threat Detector Opening Shot inside PvP. I think currently Threat Detector probably be the more preferable perk to go with in PvP just because it gives you that handling buff, which is really, really good, especially on an aggressive shotgun that has very low handling. And of course, Opening Shot just giving you more aim assistance and range and stuff like that. I think both those are good options. Outside of that, I'm not seeing anything else in this third column. Maybe Closing Time, but again, Closing Time got nerfed on special ammo weapons. I would say that between Closing Time and Opening Shot, just basically pick whichever one you feel fits your playstyle more. If you are maybe more aggressive and using your shotgun more, you go with Closing Time. You're using it constantly. But if you're kind of pacing yourself between combat, Opening Shot probably the option. But yeah, really, I think like I said, the main thing to look for, we've got Discord here and we've got Redirection. I think that's going to be an awesome combo for this shotgun. But with that being said, let's move on to, I believe, our last weapon, Judgments. And this is a 140 hand cannon that got some pretty substantial stat bumps to it, as well as just an overhaul to its perks here. Like we said, it's an adaptive frame hand cannon. And right off the bat, obviously, I'm looking at Headstone and Rhyme Stealer for PvE. You could also do Headstone, maybe like Paracausal Affinity. And if you wanted to be a little bit different, you could do Demo and Adrenaline Junkie. But really, I think, this is a PvP focused weapon. We're going to talk about PvP in just a second, but let's just get PvE out of the way. I think Headstone, Rhyme Stealer are probably your best bet. Or maybe Demolitionist, Paracausal Affinity. It's difficult. They put Headstone right here because Headstone and Demolitionist is a great combo to pair together, but you can't do that on this. So I would say, Headstone, Rhyme Stealer are probably your best option, or maybe Demolitionist, Paracausal Affinity, or Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie. Now, let's talk about PvP because this weapon has some great PvP rolls. Obviously, right off the rip, I'm looking at Slide Shot and Opening Shot for PvP. That's just an aggressive, really strong, really good combo. You could also use Keep Away and Opening Shot. I think that, again, great combo there. You have timed payload, so you get that additional explosion damage that's going to be flinching. And I would argue that timed payload is better than explosive payload because of the difference in the explosion timer. Kind of throws aim off a little bit more. And granted, explosives don't flinch players as much, but it still does flinch a little bit more than a regular shot. So I think explosive payload is an absolute S tier perk for this weapon. Keep Away, of course, you could pair it with that. You could pair it with Lone Wolf. Sorry, not Keep Away a second time. You can pair it with Lone Wolf, which Lone Wolf is a great perk as well, giving you that bump to your aim assistance. You do have Precision Instrument as well, which can give you some forgiveness against lower resilience Guardians, which I think is a pretty nice benefit. Although I don't know a lot of Guardians who are rocking really low resilience. I think also Paracausal Affinity, there is a play to be made here. Again, especially if you're using Slide Shot Paracausal Affinity, that's a very aggressive weapon perk combination. Getting 20% more damage is pretty monumental. Slide Shot will keep you topped off. It'll keep your range up. I think that might be this might be one of the best kill chaining hand cannons we get going forward. So be on the lookout for Slide Shot and Paracausal Affinity. If you want something that's just more about consistency, I would say probably just Keep Away and Explosive Payload, or Keep Away and Opening Shot. both of which are great options for PvP. Again, in terms of consistency, going to be more consistent. But yeah, that is Judgment, and I think that is all the weapons that we got from our new dungeons. I'll be honest with you, man. There's a lot of weapons that have some really good rolls, but there's a lot of mid-tier weapons. One of the things I was really bummed about to see was Longarm doesn't have Volt Shot on it, which is tragic. I was hoping we'd see Longarm with Volt Shot and Rolling Storm. You get like Volt Shot in third column and Rolling Storm in the fourth column, but we didn't see that. Hopefully this video did help you out though in terms of what perks you might be on the lookout for. If it did, do me a favor, drop a like, it helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for some Destiny content. We are going to be hopefully getting back into the swing of things, making more videos. We're also live every Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 9 p.m. Central, sometimes a little bit earlier. So come and check us out. And with that being said, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.